Hello there, I'm the student and today I want to show you how every nation can get the Mongolian Mission Tree with all of its nice permanent modifiers until the end of the game, as well as, of course, permanent claims on all of East and Middle Asia. And for that, to show that in different versions, I'm right now in a non-Iron Man game, as you can see. And I've set up a little start as Provence over here, because as you all know, Provence can form the Kingdom of Jerusalem or reform the Kingdom of Jerusalem via decision. Of course, every nation can do that by moving, by being Catholic and moving the capital into that region. I've done a video to that. If you want to watch that and you didn't know before that, go ahead. But I also just integrated Mongolia over here. And of course, Mongolian Mission Tree doesn't come without Mongolian provinces. The provinces that you need are provinces in the Kalaka, Mongol or Oirat culture group to get that mission tree. That's also why I have 50% Kalka culture over here already, which I'm now going to promote to become my primary culture. And now if I'm just going to go ahead and integrate the Mamluks over here, as you can see, and make Palestine my capital or my state, then you notice that I can of course re-establish the Kingdom of Jerusalem. As you can see, I have already the decisions to re-establish the Mongol Empire and so on, which is of course interesting as well to form Yuan, but why forming that nation to get that mission if you can form a non-endgame tech to get the same missions? And there we go, I'm now Jerusalem. Yeah, I can take the ideas, whatever. I'm still the primary culture, of course, which is a very important part of that. And if I now go to the missions, then you notice the missions are a little scuffed. And you can see that I have the normal Crusader missions on top of here. Actually, they are on the exact same place that they should be. But you notice that there are more missions down here. And as you can see, those are actually the Mongol missions. Now the problem why it looks so scuffed, as you can see with this arrows pointing into nowhere, that is because of course this mission is the starting mission of this mission tree, which should normally sit somewhere up here where the Crusader missions are, right? And that's why this middle mission tree is put down a little bit, where the other missions that had the space to be there where they should be are actually there. But if you hover over that, you see which mission you need to fulfill to complete this mission, which is in this case for Annex Tibet, which is unite the Mongols, and that mission is down here, as you can see. So yeah, I admit it is a little scuffed to play around with that, but keep in mind that this mission tree provides you with huge amount of permanent modifiers, mana generation, stability, as you can see over there, modifiers, temporary modifiers, and of course permanent modifiers, including plus yearly prestige over here, along with permanent claims on Japan, of course, why not? Then this mission over here, defeat the Rus, gives me 15% province war score costs until the end of the game. This is an insane modifier until the end of the game. And then of course the end of this mission tree, Pax Mongolica, which gives me an insane -3 national unrest until the end of the game, along with more stability costs. And then also gives me the ability to restore the Ilkhanate, of course, giving me also claims on Anatolia region, Mashrik regions. And this entire mission tree gives me permanent claims on Poland, Ruthenia, Russia, Pontic Steppe, Central Asia, Persia, Caucasia, Mongolia, Northern China, Southern China, Japan and Korea, and a little bit around that, which is insane because all of those claims are permanent claims, and all of those provinces that in those regions that I just said are of course basically half of the world's development. So this is totally insane. Now you notice this is of course if you are only Catholic to form Jerusalem, but there is actually another way to get that mission tree, and maybe at this point I'm just going to tell you the base mechanic of that. The base mechanic is that you need to have a nation formation that gives you new missions. But at the same time, it should not be necessary for you to have a culture to form that tag. Because if you don't need a culture, then you can form the nation with the Mongolian culture and therefore get the Mongolian Mission Tree, which is one of the few missions in game that are actually culture based. At the end of the video I'm going to tell you exactly what mission trees, because it's not only the Mongol mission tree, you can get through that mechanic that are actually culture based and that you can acquire through that way without forming those nations that you would normally have to form, like Mongolia in this case, which is of course an endgame tag, because I can now of course complete all of those missions and then form like France or Spain or something and then profit from them missions as well. But I'm going to get to that those nations in a second as well. So there is also a Muslim way. We have just seen the Christian or the Catholic way, but if you can see, I'm right now in as Medina and I've annexed Jerusalem, of course. Now I need to of course first switch to the culture again. That is in this case Khalkha culture again. Yeah, just give me some dip right there to change to the primary culture. And then you can see that I have the Ikta government reform. And if I now state the Cairo state, then you notice that I can adopt the Mamluk government type. And this will of course move my capital, but it has also no culture requirement. And as you can see, it also gives me new missions. There we go, Mamluk succession, yes, whatever. Just take a random guy, and if I go to the missions now, you see that I have right now those 2 and 3 Mamluk missions, which will get updated in 3 weeks actually when the new update comes up. But also I have the proper Mongolian mission tree replacing part of the generic mission tree over here, which is even in this case not even scuffed, but in real places, as you can see where it should be, which is right now the Mamluk mission tree. Now there's one more nation that can form that actually as any religion, which is the Holy Roman Empire. If you form the Holy Roman Empire through those decisions, then it's also not culture based, but it gives you new missions. And if you are the Holy Roman Empire, after you click that mission with Khalkha or something in that culture group as primary culture, then you also get the Mongol mission tree, which will be probably as scuffed as the thing with the Crusader missions, because the HRE of course has more unique missions. But anyways, that's another way to achieve that without any religion requirement, at least not in the first place. There are 2 more nations that you can form with new missions and no culture requirements, which is the Commonwealth after you formed Poland. Now I can enforce the Commonwealth. The same works also with the diplomatic decision. It also doesn't have a culture requirement. Of course, it gives me new missions, where, as you can see right now, I have also the Mongol mission tree over here, which is in this case also a little bit scuffed with this Thrones of Bohemia missions, but I can assure you, even though it looks really dumb, as you can see with the Break the Rust mission over here, and the Purple Phoenix mission apparently, which is nice. As you can see, this is the Defeat the Rust mission of Mongolia, which is interesting that you can defeat them twice in this mission tree now. But anyways, I can show you every mission is here. It might be a little scuffed, but I can show you it is there. And the same also goes, I think I don't have to show that at this point, for the nation of Livonia, which can be only formed by Livonian Order or Riga, and has also no cultural requirements. Now the same also goes, of course, for every diplomatic formation of a country. And that includes, of course, also, for example, Spain over here, which you can see as Aragon in this case, which also works after I switched my culture to the Mongol culture. And then I get, of course, new missions. And of course I inherit the throne on all of that. But also, as you can see, I have now the Spanish mission tree that you can see as Aragon, of course. And if I just go down the entire mission tree of Spain, as you can see, this is the last row of Spanish missions over here. You can see that there are the Mongol missions. This mission line, this left one, of course, should be right here down. But anyways, it is there, and also right now I can get Pax Mongolica as Spain. And in the same way, it of course works as Sardinia-Piedmont and as Great Britain, which are both nations that can be formed diplomatically. Now, you've probably saw it on the thumbnail already. There is a way to get it as France. And it is a little bit more difficult because you cannot form France diplomatically, and you cannot form France without having Frankian as primary culture. Normally though, because there is one way, and that is, if I just switch to Orléans, the French ducal missions have this last mission over here, which changes the country to France via this mission. And you probably guessed it, but I can just integrate France right here and integrate Spain to get those provinces to get my culture off. I can now also, as a nation with the French ducal ideas, switch to the Mongol culture and then complete those missions over here, as you can see, down to conquer Paris and usurp the throne, where I need to France not exist. And now I can make Paris my new capital via this mission, become France, as you can see, get my new ideas if I want to. And also, if we go down this entire huge French mission tree until the end, as you can see, there are the Mongol missions as France. And as always, I can restore the Pax Mongolica as France in the same mission tree, where I can also establish the Golden March with the Pope, which is probably one of the most broken things I have ever seen in this game. Of course, by this point I've already found a few of those broken things, but this Mongol mission tree is a really strong mission tree, and all you need to do is to get a few of those lands to switch your culture, and then you get that mission tree basically as any nation, including a few of the biggest endgame tags in the game, such as the Commonwealth, Spain, Great Britain, and even, as I just showed you, France. Now the last question of this video is, what mission trees can you also get with this mechanic? And actually there are 5 more mission trees that you can get with that. which two of them are generic. The Filipino missions, which have 6 missions, and the Berber missions, which have 5 missions. They are both pretty bad, let's be honest, but the Filipino missions have at least plus 5% goods produced modifier until the end of the game, which is around 2.5 trade protectorates, but anyways. And then the nation-specific ones are Iroquois missions, which have 7 unique missions, Westphalian missions, which have 8 unique missions, and Tibetan missions, which have 12 unique missions, from which one of them lets you actually become a horde. Of course, this was possible to get before that with forming Tibet, but of course the big problem is to form Tibet you need to be the Buddhist religion, which means that you would normally, if you want to become a horde as, let's say, I don't know, Naples or something, you want to become a horde, then you need to switch to this very small Buddhist religion. And you don't need to do that anymore. You can just switch to the Tibetan culture, form like Jerusalem or something, and then you get the Tibetan missions as well. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we are going to see in the next one.